Hey home brewers, this is Tim. I was going to jump on a quick video here and do a live. I had a lot of requests about the basic ingredients for home brewing. So welcome to the channel. This is Crazy for Beer and this is Tim, and here we teach you how to brew your own home beer. And it's very easy, it's a lot of fun, lots of different varieties that you can do. And again, like I said, in today's video we're going to talk about the 4 basic ingredients that you'll need to brew your own home beer. So let's jump right into a little presentation here that I put together. So how to brew home beer. The 4 basic ingredients in beer. So malt is a grain that has been prepared for brewing by the process called, not surprisingly, malting. So malting barley is the most common base grain used in beer, but malted wheat is also prevalent. In some beers, unmalted ingredients including corn and rice are used. Malt provides the sugar, and that the yeast that malt provides the sugar that the yeast consume during the brewing process, and therefore determines the strength of the beer. And most home brewers, or professional brewers for that matter, do not malt their own grains. They simply purchase malt products and maltsters, or they become malt extracts, or highly more processed from malt. So hops. Hops is the second ingredient that you're going to need. Hops are the spice of the beer, providing the bitterness to balance and the sweetness in the beer, and can also add flavor, aroma, and if the brewer desires. Compared to malt, hops are added in small quantities of beer to the beer. Even in the most bitter IPAs, most home brewers use pelletized hops in their own brewing, and this is a convenient form that you can buy in a store and use that way. Alright, so yeast is the third item that you're going to need when you are brewing your own home beer. So yeast converts the unfermented beer called wort that brewers make on a home brewing day into beer. They consume sugars from the malts and convert them to alcohol and carbon dioxide. Alcohol is, of course, what gives beer its kick, and the carbon dioxide is what gives the beer its fizz. It's nothing worse than going into a pub and you get a beer and there's no fizz and there's no head on it. It's not a good beer. I wouldn't try it even. Alrighty. So the last of the 4 ingredients that you're going to need is water. Most beers are over 90% water by volume. Quite a bit of water is also used in the brewing process that does not end up in the beer. A basic, although non-inflammable rule of thumb in home brewing is, if your water tastes good, it's suitable for brewing. So I know in my city the water's excellent. I've been to other cities where we've been camping and tried the water and it's really bad, so I would imagine that will not give you a great home brew. So if your tap water doesn't taste good, try using bottled water instead, which isn't that expensive to get bottled water. Avoid water that's been through a water softener. So I know I have a couple of relatives that live in an area where they have to put water softener on their incoming water into their home, so avoid that at all costs. So those are the 4 main ingredients that you need to home brew your own beer. So let's talk about the 4 basic steps to brew your home beer. So malting. Malting begins in the process of converting raw materials into beer. The first step is germinating the grains, allowing naturally occurring enzymes into the grain to achieve what they are used for in the next step in brewing. The grains are also dried by heat, called kilning. Kilning allows the grains to be stored for a long period of time, and it develops malt flavors and aromas that will be extracted in the brewing process. Almost all brewers leave this step to malters, but it is an important step in creating beer. Alright, the third of the 4 basic steps to brew your own home beer is mashing. In mashing, malted grains are soaked in hot water. In the process of, starch molecules in the grains are dissolved into the hot liquid and enzymes, activating activated by the maltster. Chop the large starch molecules into smaller molecules of sugar. The main sugar produced in the process of mashing is maltose. Malt sugars from the mash are what fuel the yeast cells during the fermentation. For home brewers who brew with the extract, this process has been done for them. The malt extract from the malt grains that have been mashed are the resulting from the liquid that are condensed into syrup or dried into the powder. Alright, the third out of the 4 basic steps to brewing your own home beer is boiling and cooling. So the solution of water, malt sugars, and the other substances from the malt is called wort, or unfermented beer. Before wort can be fermented, it should be boiled. Boiled sanitizes the wort and then helps make it the finished beer a more sustainable product. During the boil, the hops are added to the wort and bitter compounds are extracted from them. After the boiling, the wort is cooled so that the yeast can be added. And the fourth basic step to brewing your own home beer is fermenting and conditioning. Once the wort is cooled, the yeast is added. After a short time in which the yeast accumulates to the wort, fermentation begins. For home brewers making an average strength ale, fermentation will last from a few days to a week. For brewers making stronger beers or lagers, fermentation can last longer, up to months even. After the beer has fully fermented and sometimes conditioned for a while, it is ready to be bottled or kegged and served. Are you an extract brewer looking for pointers? Here are some additional reading tips for you. It's recommended to read on, and this is the article that we're going to post in the blog here. I'm going to go over some steps, just some quick stuff next here and the equipment that you need, but reach out to our blog and read the rest of that portion there. So homebrew equipment ingredients. Brew pot, brew kettle, usually aluminum or stainless steel is needed, but porcelain enamel will work as well. Anything less than 4 gallons, 15 liters, will be frustrating due to boilovers and scorching. You will want a top if possible. A built-in thermometer is a great feature if you plan on cooling the wort inside of the brew pot. Alright, fermentation and boiling bucket. Homebrewers commonly use 5 to 6 gallon buckets, 19 to 23 liters, cardboard, glass, or plastic, or a food grade plastic bucket, which is generally 6.5 gallons, or 25 liters. You will use these as a fermenter and a boiling vessel. If you choose carboy, you'll need a number 7 drilled rubber stopper. If you go for 2 buckets, you'll need a lid for one of them and a hole drilled for the airlock. An airlock, this allows carbon dioxide produced during the fermentation to escape from your ferment while preventing oxygen and airborne contaminants from entering. So that's it. It's pretty basic. So you'll also want to make sure that you sanitize all of your equipment. So clean and sanitize your equipment. Your brewing equipment needs to be as clean and free from biological growth as possible. The only organism you want growing in your ferment is yeast, unless you want a sour beer, which nobody wants a sour beer. Contaminated beer may turn out sour and develop other off flavors. It can smell like baby diapers. Yes, nice. In addition, beer can may gush when opened. Your bottles, they also may explode. To sanitize, soak any equipment that will touch the post-boil wort sanitizing solution. There are a few homebrewed friendly sanitizers to choose from, including Iodorf and Star San. Creating a solution in a spray bottle to spray your equipment is great and a cost-effective way to sanitize and clean your equipment. Be sure to run sanitization solution through your racking cane and fermentation lock. So that's it. Those are some real basic steps when you want to homebrew your own beer. And stay tuned for additional videos that we're going to be posting on creating your own homebrew. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video, and we hope you have some great homebrew experiences. We'd love to see some pictures, some posts, and you guys all have a great rest of the day. This is Tim from Crazy Free Beer. Hope you have a good one. We'll talk to y'all soon.